Hello and welcome to another video from Natasha Lee. Now, a few weeks ago when I did my new studio and office room tour, you guys saw my flower wall and I offered to do a video for you. And because so many of you contacted me and wanted to know how to do it, here we are. Flower walls are everywhere on Instagram and all over social media, and yes, I know they're very 2016, but they don't seem to be going away. And for me, this worked out a perfect alternative to cover up a screen that was pretty unsightly, to be honest. So I created my own Instagram flower wall. In this video, I'm going to show you the tips and tricks that I learned along the way, because I tried a few different methods that I'd checked out myself on YouTube, and the method I settled with was the best version I found. So without further ado, let's find out how. So in my room tour video, you saw this little sweep round with my wonderful flower wall screen there, and isn't it pretty? It really is incredibly simple how to make this. It's just a little bit time consuming, but look how gorgeous and individual it looks. You can really tell the difference between those panels that you buy and clip to the wall. These look beautiful. And just a quick sweep around the rest of my gorgeous room, and there is all of my lovely Divine by Natasha Lee stock, and there's links in the description where you can buy. I love this room so much. It excites me coming in here to work every day. So this was my folding screen. It's just a piece of plywood. I just painted it in the same grey as the walls, and it is just to cover basically my treadmill and some bits and pieces which are a bit unsightly in the room, but I still need to have them there. I thought the best way to cover it up would be to do a detachable flower wall, and the reason I've made it detachable, I don't know. I think it was just because I wanted the option if I needed to fold the screen completely away and I wanted to move the flowers elsewhere, then I could. I went to the range and you can see a few of the different flowers that I picked up here. Now, the range is a new one to me because we've only recently got one in the area and it's very addictive, but you can see the sort of prices here on the tags, and these are all in British pounds to give you an idea. And as I headed to the till, I had spent a lot of money, and this was just the first trip. Look how happy Rick looks. Hi Rick, just turn around, show us your beautiful bounty. And the poor guy on the till did not know what to do. And this was just the first lot heading back to the car before I brought it all home ready to cover the screen. And as you can see, it folds out completely so I can make a wonderful backdrop. Now these foam boards I picked up from Hobbycraft, and I'll link them in the description, but this is the actual size of the foam board. I was really lucky that it fit perfectly with its width on this side of my screen. What I'm basically doing here is I'm looking and marking out to see how many panels. I'd roughly worked it out in advance already, but how many panels and where I'm going to need to cut them to cover both sides of the screen. It took just under 4 panels in total, if I recall correctly. And I opened up, and across here it just so happened that what I did was I turned the screen around the other way, and when I cut that exactly down the centre, it then fit the other side of the screen perfectly. Voila! Very little wastage. So I did this to make it easier to work out exactly how many flowers for each one, and so I just spent a few evenings watching TV with a hubby, and whenever I got a chance to separate the heads from the flowers, and it was time consuming. So first I did it with types of flowers, and I also separated off the leaves. Now obviously if you've got a smaller flower wall than this, you won't have to worry, but this was my rough diagram, very rough diagram, that I worked out how many panels was I going to need and what sizes were they. Just to show you how to remove the heads, it all depends on what type of flowers you've bought, so I'm going to show you some different versions. This one here you can see has got a piece of wire inside, and you can literally just pull those off. And that is absolutely fine as it is. You might want to trim that stick down, but we'll show you a bit in a moment. And I'm keeping all the types of flowers together. And for this one, I did need to cut the leaves off, so you go right down by the stalk, just take a pair of scissors and carefully snip them off. You're going to need all of the leaves if you want to do this really effective, but as cheaply as possible. For these bunches of roses, it was a little bit different. They were a little bit stubborn, but what you had to do is give them a good twist and pull. I love these. You can't beat some hydrangeas, just like my glitter. Again, this one's a little bit stubborn, but you can just give it a twist to detach the glue and then give it a good pull off. Easier said than done. My fingertips were so sore for days doing this. And for these leaves, you can actually twist and pull them off as well. And they were fantastic leaves. The quality of these flowers from the range is amazing. Now these roses I needed to snip round, and they have wire inside them, so I literally just snipped round, and luckily the wire doesn't go the full length, and you can just pull off. There we go. And again, it's just a snip job to snip off the leaves. And these leaves are beautiful. They're almost like chiffon, and I'll be using these a lot later on, and I'll show you how. Then we've got some lovely peonies, and these are my favourite flower ever. These were really easy to do because the entire stalk on the flower was plastic, so you could just easily cut it off. Again, you can see I'm having a feel there to make sure there's no wire. I've got these fabulous scissors. I picked these up from Costco. I'm sure it was in a big set. But they are so handy, and you can just snip them straight off and pop them in your pots. Now this type was a little different, and that's why I'm showing you where the seam is. Again, a twist and a pull off, and the only reason I'm showing you this is because I went through so much grief trying to work out all the different ways that all of the flowers detached. Remember to take off all these little bits and pieces, and you'll see exactly where I'll be using them later. But all of this will save you a lot of money and give you that really amazing effect in the long run. So first I'm going to measure out my boards to cut them to size, and if it looks like I'm talking to myself, it's not. I'm talking to Emma Clegg from the video where what not to do to annoy your nail tech, basically. Now if you're wanting to see Emma again, then please let me know, because I've got a video idea. She doesn't know I'm saying this, but I've got a video idea. Oh yeah, there she's got me going again. Hysterics, can't concentrate. But I've got a video idea for Emma, so let me know if you'd like to see her again on the channel. So I'm just using one board to put a straight line down the other one, and then I'm using a craft knife and a tiny little metal ruler because I couldn't be bothered finding my big one, but I didn't go all the way through because I didn't want to mark my flooring, so I just bent it, as you can see here whilst I'm chatting on FaceTime, and then I just took my knife very, very carefully down that seam just to separate the piece of the board. Now this foam board is like a high density foam in the centre, and then this really glossy, lovely, good quality paper either side of it. So it is very rigid and very effective. And once I've cut up all the boards, I know that in total I'm using approximately 4 full-size boards, even if they're cut up. So I decided the best way to do it would be separate all the flowers into amounts of 4. So each board in total will have the same flowers and the same amount on it. And here was the result. Now originally I was planning on using some grey feathers. I didn't end up using those in the end, but to hold it all on the board, I used this velcro heavy duty, which I picked up in Screwfix. Now with hindsight, I really didn't need to use the heavy duty. The regular one would have been fine, but it's on there now. There's no problem. It's holding it and it is not coming off. Now this velcro has got tape on the backs of it, so what I'm doing is I measured how much I would need to put each panel on the wall. And then I just cut the strips and used each strip to measure the next one because it made it a lot quicker. It is a little bit awkward to cut at times because it's so sticky, but all in all it's not too bad. Then I'm just applying them around the perimeter, and one each side and then one in the middle, just to get that really good coverage. And you'll see here you don't need much. Now just be warned, when you push it down to make sure it's adhered like I did then, it actually takes all the skin off your knuckles, and I wasn't prepared for that. So muppet here. Apply onto each section, and it doesn't matter where you put it really, as long as you've got it sort of equally where the panels are going to be. Then I'm going in with the other side of the velcro, which I've already cut to size, and I'm applying it straight on to the other side. So you normally have like a fluffy side and a spiky side. I've put the spiky side onto the actual panel, and I'm sticking the fluffy side onto it, and I'm leaving the back plastic on for the moment. And here you can see I've applied it to both sides. Now I am ready to start putting the flowers onto the board. So what I've just done for each board, I've got the packs of all the different flowers next to me, and I'm just putting them all on. All the flowers, leave the leaves to one side for the moment, but I'm getting all the flowers so I can work out where I need to put them, and I would recommend doing this because it gives you a really good effect at the end. Now I sped this up because I'm not kidding you when I say that this panel in total took days and days and days. I think it was about 2 weeks it took. So you will see my clothes changing on regular basis. However, here is the look of where I've spread them out, and I've tried not to put too many of the same flowers next to each other, just to give a beautiful cottage garden effect. Be careful about which ones you choose to put around the outside edge of the board as well, because you want to cover the outside edge of the board itself. And as you can see, I'm a faffer. I like to faff until I'm happy. Now all we're going to do to actually stick these to the board is I'm going to get a screwdriver. And I'm getting this sort of funny screwdriver that came with my Velux window blinds. And it's got a sort of star head on the top of it, but it's perfect for popping holes in the board. And what I'm doing is I'm lining up my rows so just some of the petals just go over the edge of the board, and I'm pushing it down slightly onto the foam board to leave a mark, and then popping a proper hole in with the screwdriver. Then I'm getting my hot glue gun, and this is one from Loctite. I do love this, but do be careful. I gave myself some really bad burns by the time I'd finished this. And then pop it straight into the hole, and you just need to hold it for a couple of seconds, and voila! It's very satisfying, time consuming, but very, very satisfying. And each time I just press the flower down to get a little mark where I wanted it. Some of them that have wire in, like this does, leave a mark for you already. And just glue gun and pop in. This is why it is a bit time consuming, but as I said, my panel was big. So just to speed it up for you, you can see I'm pushing down, making the hole, gluing in place, and that's all you do. I did then use this first panel as a template to do the other ones. Once all your flowers are glued in place, I'd also bought some eucalyptus, which you can see there, which I popped in, and I love the effect of that. But you can bend and shape your leaves where you want them, and then add them with a bit of a 3D effect. You want them to stick up a little bit. Now, after I did this first panel, what I realised was much better was to put it up on its side like this. Then I got my leaves, and I went in between all of the flowers and stuck the leaves where you could see white board. Then I took the remaining leaves that were really pretty, and I'd actually glue them so they stuck up a little bit around the flowers to make it look more realistic. Again, it's very time consuming, but really, really beautiful and effective, and you can see how it's starting to come together here. I just stick an audiobook on. I honestly listen and live by Audible. It's amazing. So I've stuck the first panel on. I'm going to show you how I do the subsequent ones. Be careful with that first panel because that's going to be your guide for the rest. And then I'm going to peel off that sticky back layer there. Don't do it until you're ready to stick the board on because you don't know what might happen. So I'm getting the board ready, and I'm going to try and line up the bottom line of the board with the one below it. So try and stick a board on that's in a middle position if you've got one that size. And here I'm lining it up really, really carefully because you don't want it to stick onto the sticky back Velcro and then not be able to pull it off. So once I was happy with the position, I just lined it up against the side, and when I was happy, I pushed into position. Now what I was doing here was looking for the seam between the two panels, and it looked so good together. I couldn't find the seam because I wanted to pull out the leaves that might be stuck in between the panels. And I'm actually using my own cuticle hoof stick and curette for this. So I will put a link to that in the description down below because it was perfect for hooking out all the leaves that have got stuck between the two when I push them down. And this just increases the 3D effect of the panels and makes them blend together so well. You don't necessarily have to do this, but I am a little bit finicky with things like this. Can you tell? Did you notice? I don't think you did. So here we go. We are on to that last panel, and I have to be honest, I was really relieved by this point. Really relieved. And we're just going to pop that on the top. So I'm opening up the panel to give me a better view when I'm doing this, and this gives you a good idea of how I do it. I line them up nice and carefully. and make sure I haven't got too many bits trapped in between because you don't want them sticking to that sticky back velcro. And then when you're happy with your position, just push it into place. And then push on where you know that the velcro is. So I'm going in the positions where I know I've stuck the velcro. And it really, at this point, I was getting so excited because I'd put so much work in and it was finally coming together and I could see how good it was looking. And also I was just like, thank goodness that's over and done with now. But as you can see, I'm literally just using that curette to pull the extra leaves out. Now, because this side panel isn't seen as much, I'll be honest, I had to go back and buy a second lot of flowers from the range. The first lot weren't enough. So on the panels down the side, I haven't put as many, but then I'm using those little, the berry bits and the fern bits you could see me taking off the stalks earlier. Well, I'm gluing those around the flowers to add a bit of detail in 3D. So the main flowers are on the other panel actually. And then I have few on these panels down the side, but you can't really tell when it's opened up. I just refuse to spend any more because I think in total I spent about £300 in flowers. Was it worth it? Totally. If you wanted to spend less and still have a really good effect, then you could buy more leaves and fewer flowers because leaves tend to be really cheap. Or you could even paint your boards green if you wanted to, or apply some sort of felt if you wanted to as well. And you can see the end is in sight. Just make sure you do get them on nice and evenly because once they're on, you can pull them off if you buy the other Velcro. I don't think I'm going to be able to get these off, to be honest, because the boards aren't as sturdy as the Velcro, but hey ho, they're not going to budge. And when all the panels were on, I thought I was finished. I was so excited. And then I found the join down the middle really annoying. It was so obvious when it was closed. When it's open fully up like this, you can't see it. And it looks perfection. I absolutely love this. But when the panel was actually bent, I could see the join down the side. But here's a close-up to show you what they look like. And don't they look amazing? It's like a beautiful secret garden. You could do any range of colours that you wanted, but I did love these. When you actually close that screen, you can see the sides there that are grey, and that's what bothered me. So I decided to get some of my acrylic paint on some kitchen foil, or for any Americans, aluminum foil. And then I'm just going to mix it up. So I'm trying to sort of roughly mix up the colour of the darkest leaves. And then this is really sacrilege now, I got one of my old L&P or acrylic brushes because it was handy and I didn't use it anymore. And then I just painted all the way down the side and let it dry, and it worked. An absolute treat. There you go, look. It doesn't bother me half as much now. And it looks quite dark in this picture, but it really isn't. So here is my gorgeous finished flower wall, and I totally love it. Let me know what you guys think. So what do you think? Are you going to give it a go? Know what I know now, would I do it again? I'm torn. In the 24 hours after I finished it, no. That would have been an absolute resolute no. Now that I'm walking into my office and I'm seeing it and I'm looking at the backdrop on camera and I'm like, oh my gosh, it's so pretty. Yeah, I think I would do it again. I would. I'd just buy more flowers in the first instance so I don't have to go back to the shop repeatedly. Do you think that you're going to give this a go? And if you would, what would you do differently? Is there anything you're looking at and thinking, God, she's made such hard work for herself there? If you've enjoyed this video, please give me a big like. If you're not yet subscribed to the channel, then please hit that subscribe button, and next to it is a teeny tiny little bell icon. If you hit that, you'll be notified every time I upload videos. I need to say a big thank you to my VIPs, and if you want to see more nail art tutorials as well, posted more frequently than on my YouTube channel, then head on over to my Instagrams, and that's Divine by NL and Natasha Lee Blogger, where I will be uploading more frequently and lots of little nail art ideas and quickie videos. In the meantime, thank you so much for watching. I hope you've enjoyed this, and I hope you like my flower wall. And for anyone that's going to say it's going to get dusty, don't worry, I've got my cordless Dyson. I will be hoovering it regularly. Thank you everyone for watching and for your support, and I look forward to seeing you all very, very soon.